We got to talk about what's going on in Texas. Texas lawmakers have proposed a digital currency linked to gold and silver. Now, this isn't the first time Texas has tried this. I remember first hearing about it last summer, as a matter of fact, and that information is still applicable to this idea here. As a matter of fact, this is an advancement of Texas plans for a gold-backed digital currency, and now it includes silver. And if they look to further leverage the custodian in all of this, which is the Texas Bullion Depository, this could include palladium as well as platinum. Now, we've been talking a lot about the tokenization of precious metals, especially when we take our dives into that Jasara map. But this is one of the first non-blockchain, non-crypto related examples that we've had to jump on. So that's what we're going to do in this episode, guys. I want to share with you what I found after really looking into this story, because obviously they're going to need a network. And let's not overlook the fact that it could be a private network that doesn't have a token, and we missed the opportunity to invest in the world's first ever state-backed gold-backed digital currency. However, based on the information I'm going to share with you in this episode, I feel like that won't be the case. So before we dive into it, y'all know what time it is. I got to urge you to download your DHN Crypto Starter Kit. Get your 5 verticals of crypto, links to various news and analytics outlets to help you understand this crypto space, as well as the criteria for evaluating assets. I do not care if you invest in any of the assets we talk about on this channel. Our conversation over here is about the new financial system and all of the little cogs that help it turn. These criteria, though, will help you research any asset that you want to get into. I remember being in your shoes right now. I guarantee you a lot of you have come into the space in these last couple of months, and that's okay. I'm glad you're here. I want to be the one to equip you with what you need to navigate this space. So, with that, let me introduce myself. My name is Wade. I've been in this space since 2019, and I've researched over 1,000 digital assets. The only reason I run this show is to share that information with you. All I ask in return, you hit that like button. But not for me. Let's do it for crypto. Or in this case, we definitely got to do it for Texas. So let's jump into this story, guys. Got a whole lot to talk about here. Texas lawmakers are proposing a new idea, state digital currency linked to gold and silver. Representative Mark DeRazio has introduced 2 bills, House Bill 1049 and House Bill 1056, seeking to introduce this new form of currency fully backed by physical gold and silver from the Texas Bullion Depository. Further down in this article, they're going to talk about when this is supposed to be discussed in the House. It's going to be January 14th, once the legislative, processes, once they get back in session. The legislative session begins after the holiday. So that's when this will be discussed. So that in and of itself, you have to consider our new pro-crypto Congress. That will set the yellow brick road for this bill to walk down. To that point, like I mentioned in the beginning, this isn't the first time Texas has tried to do this. This is the bill from 2023. Mr. Hughes, his first name slips me at the moment, but if you look up Senate Bill number 2334 in relation to Texas digital gold currency, you'll get this information here. Now, the details that stood out to me were the responsibilities of the comptroller of this currency, person who's going to be in charge of managing it, right? The Bullion Depository is the custodian. The comptroller, who has yet to be determined, will have this responsibility to establish a digital currency that is backed by gold so that each unit of digital currency issued represents a particular fraction of a troy ounce. The comptroller may contract with a private vendor to establish the digital currency or perform other duties under this chapter. In establishing the digital currency, the comptroller shall establish a means to ensure that a person who holds the digital currency may readily transfer or assign the digital currency to any other person by electronic means, aka blockchain, in my humble opinion, right? But if we jump forward to the 2024 version of this proposal given to us by Mr. DeRazio, House Bill number 1056, we go into those responsibilities for the comptroller, and it's worded a bit differently. Check this out. The comptroller may contract with a private vendor, talking about the relationship with the private vendor here, to establish the gold and silver currency or perform other duties under the chapter. To the extent consistent with state and federal law, in contracting with the private vendor under this subsection, the comptroller shall give preference to a vendor whose principal place of business is in this state. Now, it's here that sent me down the rabbit hole. I was walking past it, tried to not look at it, but then I tripped on a rock and boom, here we are. Preference to companies in Texas. Now, I already know. First thing that comes to mind is Hedera, but we're not going to make it that easy. We can't make it that easy, guys, because now we got to ask the question of, since everything else is bigger in Texas, what about blockchain? What about crypto? Now, this article here, we are going to revisit because there's a statistic right here. Texas ain't alone. 11 other states have proposed this. That'll be an episode in and of itself. But I was reading this article, and it actually connected me with this one written by Mr. Schiff Gold, back in 2023 when the original proposal was put forth. And you can see here Senate Representative Brian Hughes. That's the one who was on Senate Bill 2334, and Mark DeRazio, which introduced another one. Now, that one I haven't pulled up, but I'm pretty sure the language is still the same. But if Peter Schiff has been tracking this, the gold bug of all gold bugs, then you know that there's something to it. And from our perspective, not bringing in any change yet, we've seen non-blockchain institutions pull this off successfully. We have seen it. So if Texas wants to start up a state-backed program centered around a gold-backed digital currency, and the comptroller, it is up to the comptroller to go with a company that is primarily working in Texas, that narrows the field quite a bit. Now, again, we cannot rule out the fact that a private blockchain company in Texas could step forward and make this happen. A company without a token, meaning that we'd miss out on the opportunity to invest in a state-run gold-backed digital currency. There is some speculation as to which I don't think this is related. Let me start by saying that. But RSR pumped 200% in 24 hours because I guess the guy who somebody related to RSR is supposed to be nominated as the new chair for the SEC. Well, I'll tell you another name that's related to RSR that you might be familiar with, and that's Peter Thiel. He's going to come up in this conversation. But let me show you a little bit of history about this gold depository and Texas' relationship with crypto. This goes all the way back to 2015. And this is a press release on the day that the Texas Bullion Depository was announced. From day one, Texas supported Bitcoin. They supported Bitcoin transactions. So this was the energy, the frequency that they were on, the frequency that was in Texas when this depository was created. So you got to keep on going. I stumbled upon this here. This is an executive summary from, let's hop back up to page 1 here. Texas Work Group on Blockchain Matters, a report in 2022. I want to show you one thing because it's going to be relevant very, very soon, very, very shortly. But this document is basically Texas, the state of Texas's blockchain blueprint. All of the little things that they believe are possible using blockchain and DLT-based technologies. I want to point your attention to number 3, digital identity. Texas should incentivize technology companies whose revenue model does not depend on the monetization of personal data or whose revenue model actively precludes such data monetization to headquarter in Texas. The legislative should further study the best incentive model to achieve this purpose. They go into self-sovereign identities, which we know where they exist. But the point I'm trying to make is Texas, slowly but surely, has been getting their ducks in a row when it comes to blockchain technology. And also in recent years, you can add this context as well. Silicon Valley, it's now in Texas, just metaphorically speaking. On top of that, guys, you have the Texas Blockchain Council. And I went straight to the membership page because, like they say, it matters. It matters. Because when you look up, to the point I made earlier about private blockchain companies, when you look them up, it ain't a lot. It is not a lot. They're all in the startup phase. And yeah, there could be a unicorn in that basket, but it ain't likely. There are already pre-established Texas-based technology companies who have worked with the state of Texas before that would be a better suit for a network of this scale, in my opinion. But let's take a look at these partners here. Executive partners, Polkadot. Mind-blowing. I cannot tell you how many times I have been knee-deep in research and Polkadot just seems to poke its head into the conversation. But Polkadot is involved here. I believe they were present at that Texas Blockchain conference, Texas Blockchain Association conference. Vivek Ramaswamy was there and so forth and so on. Strategic partners, though. Names get a bit more interesting. This is when I bumped into Bank Social. All right. Yep. Hedera's coming. Just wait for it. Bank Social. And then you keep on scrolling to standard partners. I would assume that these are the people who just contribute what they can when they can. But you got Deloitte here. You have Block. That's Jack Dorsey. NYDIG. Familiar with them for sure. United Texas Bank. So they have a bank behind them. There is another name on here, though, hidden right here at the bottom. Constellation alongside Crypto.com. Startup and nonprofit members. Symbol. Interesting connections to Quant, I hear. But let's focus on the ones that we see here, starting with Bank Social. Now, the case for Bank Social, couldn't put it past them. This is right up their alley. All they would have to do was connect themselves with the proper credit unions in Texas. They just added a couple people to their board. One of them, if I'm not mistaken, I know one guy was just added to their board who was the president of credit unions in Illinois. There was another addition as well that I really need to look into. But what I took from it was that Bank Social is adding to their roster. And if that's the case, all they need to do is, let's just say you go and have a conversation with United Texas Bank. Although Bank Social is focused at credit unions, I don't think it'd be smart for them to close out the banks, especially if it offers a very lucrative opportunity and a chance to gain more exposure. So that's a possibility. As far as anything else that came from it, that's all that I can find. But to see Bank Social there, which it's built on the H, it puts them in a good position. This I found to be even more interesting. This was published by Texas Blockchain Council themselves. Highland and Hedera present blockchain proof of concept for records of verification to Texas Secretary of State. Texas Secretary of State. I told you there were, Texas-based blockchain companies that have already worked with the state of Texas who would be preferred by the comptroller. But let me go over to the press release, guys, because this was a pretty interesting story. It centers around the ability to process, today they announced they presented a proof of concept to the Texas Secretary of State to evaluate blockchain technology for the purpose of securing and verifying government-issued records. This is the first proof of concept spearheaded by the newly formed Texas Blockchain Council, a trade association that promotes the use of blockchain technology in Texas. So that is what keeps occurring. That's what keeps reoccurring in my research in relation to this story, is that the Texas Blockchain Council seem to be the number one guys out there. So that keeps our connection pretty solid, in my opinion. Let's jump forward, though, and talk about the DAG, Constellation Network. This is another asset that rubs people the wrong way sometimes, but I just don't understand why. It's like people have a hard time believing that one of these assets that's not Bitcoin or XRP could actually be tied in with the U.S. government. But Constellation strategically partners with Forward Edge AI on trustworthy AI industry solutions using blockchain technology. The company Forward Edge AI is what pulls in Constellation to the Texas discussion, as highlighted here. Partnership marks a significant milestone, underscoring the importance of trust and transparency in AI. Through collaborative efforts at the National DigiFoundry, managed by Forward Edge and the University of Texas at San Antonio, they are developing application-specific blockchain solutions that are already capturing the attention of major federal agencies. So Constellation, they've already specialized in establishing relationship with government entities. And again, the comptroller must have preference to Texas-based companies who have also worked with the state. Constellation is not based in Texas, but Forward Edge AI is. And I'm pretty sure the University of Texas is in Texas. So there's another connection, right? But y'all know that ain't all I got. This DigiFoundry here, by the way, if you do want to dig into that, you can find that through Constellation's project page. I wanted to make that known here. And yeah, the Panasonic thing. So I figured out what that was about. Constellation technology will be included in Panasonic's Tough Books going forward. Similar to what Theta did with Samsung and Stellar, as a matter of fact. Behind the scenes is where a lot of our assets tend to end up. But you see here the National DigiFoundry. This one here is going to make you laugh. It's going to make you laugh. So when it comes to, companies based in Texas, well, there's a new one. There's a new one, folks. Crypto.com picks Tyler, Texas for North American headquarters. Their global headquarters is still in Singapore. But now their U.S. headquarters is not in Miami. It's not anywhere near the Staples Center or the Crypto.com arena. They chose Texas. Now, why would I be, entertaining Crypto.com moving to Texas like they could at some point, offer a gold-backed digital currency? Well, see, a lot of people don't understand. Crypto.com is an absolute juggernaut. From a technical perspective, once they got off of Ethereum, developed the Chronos chain and Chronos Labs, they became just as powerful as Ethereum. The only reason the price of the token isn't as high is because there's a heap ton more. Ethereum has that whole deflationary thing right now where a lot of it is being burned and they're trying to make the transition to proof of stake. It's a lot going on. Crypto.com does not have that problem. They've already instituted their burn mechanism. They have effective mechanisms in the DeFi realm that also drive value to the token and induce scarcity. Crypto.com as a network is solid. Okay? It really is. This was all I found in relation to Crypto.com in Texas. But I know that Crypto.com acquired a piece of, Silvergate, and they were also able to get their derivatives technology. Crypto.com is making a deeper push into the United States because they want to get into that derivatives discussion and whatever else may come with it. Now, I mention that because if that's just one of their plans, and they're headquartered in Texas, and the idea of a gold-backed currency comes across their desk, what do you think they're going to do with it? It would blow people's minds, but you have to understand here, it's free game. It is genuinely free game. Ripple ain't the only one that can create their own stablecoin. Crypto.com can do the same thing. So, I call that overarching information. Right? It's interesting, but it ain't thick enough for me. It wasn't strong enough, right? Weak sauce, as they call it. So now at this point as a researcher, I'm stuck. I'm staring at top tokenized gold tokens by market cap on CoinMarketCap, and I'm just like, where's the answers? Tether Gold, I'm looking at. Nah, they can't even get their stuff right anywhere. So, no. Pax Gold? We'll get back to it. Comtech Gold. This is just funny, right? So, Comtech Gold, of course, on the XDC network. The only connection between XDC and the state of Texas was that they were at the, Consensus? Down in Texas a couple weeks ago. Was it Consensus? One of those blockchain conferences. XDC was there. That's it. Even tried to double back and find if Comtech Gold individually was doing work in Texas. Nope. Nothing. So that left me falling back on what we already know. And what do we already know, ladies and gentlemen? Assets like XRP, Algo, have an ally in the form of mailed gold. So I'm like, all right, cool. I dig into this route. Unfortunately, this is too far away. This is based in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. And they haven't exactly started to turn their attention towards the States. Obviously, regulatory issues, they still aren't 100%. So that's preventing a lot of companies from coming over here to do business. However, this shows you the capability. So now I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this and I'm like, all right, so I got to bring it a little bit back closer to the States. How can I do that? Well, asset I know about, stellar lumens, especially in relation to gold. Now, don't call me crazy, but you remember Wisdom Tree unveiled their entire gold suite of products on the Stellar blockchain, courtesy of Wisdom Tree Prime. And as of May of this year, Wisdom Tree Prime is available to users in 41 states. So, obviously, when I'm reading that, I'm like, let one of them 41 states please be Texas. Unfortunately, it wasn't. But they plan to be available in all 50 states soon. So there's that. And I was shocked to see that it's available in Michigan. I'm finna try that out now. So, okay, I'm stuck again. I'm like, all right, I brought it back to the crib, brought it back to the States. I went through the Stellar Lumens route and bumped into Wisdom Tree, and Wisdom Tree ain't doing nothing, at least not yet. So there leaves one more, doesn't it? Oh, and then I also found this too. Wisdom Tree is hiring in Texas, but what's that, right? But there's one more. Paximum Gold. Why? Well, if you weren't with us last month, we reported on a story where Paxos is planning to extend their stablecoin offerings, all of them, to the Stellar blockchain. And one of those offerings is a gold-backed stablecoin. All right? Which brings us to this article here. Paxos raises $142 million in Series C funding round, December 16th, 2020. No wonder Paxos is still around. They had big money behind them from day one. Now, there's a number of VCs that were involved with this, but there is only one that is based in Texas. The company is called Mithril Capital, guys. And if you go over to their list of companies, you scroll through, a lot of these companies are focused on advanced technologies. So there's that. There's also the Peter Thiel connection here, because this is one of Peter Thiel's VCs. Someone else used to work for this VC. I'll share it with you in a second. But you can see here, listed under their companies is Paxos. Okay, all right. So that's something, right? There's something there. And then I also read this from a Jay Rohan, managing partner alongside Mr. Thiel. And it's this little bit here that just stands out to me. Our best investments function as time machines that deterministically pull the future forward. Positive exemplars of the power laws intrinsic to venture capital. Among their many remarkable achievements, Mithril family companies have pioneered post-non-ignition fusion systems, reshaped the future of robotic surgery. I could go on, but it's all very focused on advanced and emerging technologies. So my impression is that Mithril Capital, headquartered in Texas, has been funding companies related to these kind of things since their inception. Peter Thiel is no stranger to blockchain technology, i.e. reserve rights. So again, I'm at this point where I'm like, all right, I've hit a wall. It's interesting, but there's nothing solid here. Now I'm at the point where I'm just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping that it stick. And in throwing things at the wall, somebody used to work for Mithril, guys. Somebody used to work for Mithril Capital, guys. And this blew my mind because I did not know this side of our incoming vice president. I did not know this. But Mr. Vance has a history of investing in technology. He has a history of investing in technology. And according to this article, according to this report, Mithril Capital essentially got him started. This was the VC fund that from here, he would go on and propel himself into a career, I believe, into politics. Because it was also at the same time he wrote a memoir about himself. He's only 31 years old. I just got over 31. I'm not telling y'all what my life has been like up until this point. Excuse me. I don't want to do that. But he did it. So forth and so on. And here we are. But like I said, folks, I'm just at the point where now I'm throwing stuff at the wall to see what stick. And holy Moses. You know? But how would all of this even matter? How would him working for Mithril Capital, having a history investing in technologies and close association to Peter Thiel, how could that bring us back to here? Well, see, if the vice president, who has connections to one of the most prominent venture capital firms in Texas, who seems to be associated with the Texas Blockchain Council, who are the number one proponents for blockchain technology in the eyes of the state of Texas, I see a scenario where it would be easier for Mr. DeRazio's bill to get through the House, especially if it's picked up by Mr. Vance, who has a very interesting and important connection to the state of Texas. That is what I have so far. You guys let me know how crazy I am. And in the meantime, don't forget to pick up your DHN Crypto Starter Kit, your 5 verticals of crypto, your criteria to evaluate assets, links to different resources, news, resources, outlets, analytics, crypto ecosystems, you name it, it's in here. There will be a 2025 edition. Look forward to that over the coming weeks. But folks, I sometimes when I get into the research, I run into these walls. And what I'm going to start doing is sharing this information with you so that way we can break through this wall together. With that, y'all know what time it is. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.